Hey Nathan, how many videos do you think that we've now produced on YouTube over the last 10 years?
Wow, I'd say between 8 and 11,000.
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, crazy amount of numbers. Crazy.
Yeah. And in this video, guys, we've done a lot of thinking about the 10 types of car videos on YouTube.
Yeah, now these are based on video reviews and or special videos that come out there featuring cars in one way or another. And over time, we've noticed that there are specific types of each one.
Yeah, and so we're going to go over the 10 most popular kinds. And are we going to name names, Nathan?
No, we're not going to name names. The reason we're doing this is because you guys might be curious about where these things lay, what category they sit in. So we're going to give you those categories.
Yep, so let's get right to it. And like I say, we've probably done all of these. Wouldn't you say?
We've done every single one of these in one way or another, or we've done something that these guys have done as well.
So if they're good, thank you, and if they're bad, guilty as charged.
Yeah, indeed.
All right, number 10, we're calling CLICKHATE.
That is correct.
That's a very popular category.
It is. Now, before you think that we're trying to say, okay, these people just hate, the point is that not only are they, the presenter, talking about something that they may dislike or hate, or you dislike or hate, but they're also inviting you guys in there to comment and possibly create hate. And it's easier to hate than it is to like.
Yeah, and the thing about CLICKHATE videos is, we have found over 10 years that for some reason, hate gets a lot more views than love. You can do two videos, right, Nathan? You can go, these are the top 10 things I love about pick the car, or these are the top 10 things I hate. And the hate will always get more views. And so that's why we're calling it CLICKHATE.
It's about the easiest one to do.
Yeah, it's usually, you know, a vlogger, because that's what they are, sitting in their basement, in a studio, in their vehicle, right? And talking about something that is usually relevant or that they have experience with. And usually the thumbnail for it is like, you know, very provocative, like don't or never. Or
the worst ever.
The worst ever, right? And there's not a lot of, you know, technological cinematography that goes into it.
Right. Usually what they'll do is they'll have a couple pictures that follow up with a couple little graphics that they'll throw out here and there, maybe a sound effect or two. But mostly it's going to be what we call a talking head, which is somebody you're seeing, like us, from the waist up, talking to the camera directly and giving you a few pointers.
I think initially the people who do these start out by actually having a point, but then when they get a lot of views, they figure out that they can make a lot of money, and so then it becomes kind of the cart before the horse, right? It's not about you know, whether it's important or not. It's about how many clicks you're going to get.
And it is about a point of view. Yeah. And that is exactly what we're getting at. But once again, fairly easy production. Right into your face, right into your living room. Very simple to digest, small tidbits. They're usually not very long videos. That's exactly what you're getting with the CLICKHATE.
All right, let's keep going. Number 9, we're calling cut and paste videos. And a lot of these are, you know, great videos. It's just that we happen to have kind of the ones that you know, are more toward the negative than toward the positive at the top end of this list. Now, what are cut and paste videos?
Cut and paste videos. So a lot of you guys will go out there and you're curious about a car, a new car usually, and what some companies will do is they'll take either B-roll from the automaker. B-roll is action photography.
Yeah,
so
let me take a step back and explain that. So like recently the Nissan Z was introduced, and what a manufacturer will do is they'll have a press site where they will upload video of the car.
And pictures.
Yeah, and pictures, and then we use that when we do our story. So we try to put the car into context, but cut and paste YouTube videos and channels, just take that video and just put it up on YouTube. Just run it whole.
Yep, what they'll do is they'll throw it up there on the screen for you guys to see, and in many cases, they won't even put up any commentary or even any literature whatsoever. They're just going to show you the car driving or some pictures, some stills of the cars. There's some guys who will throw some music on top of it and have it wipe or dissolve or whatever to another picture if they're putting a little bit of work into it. But in many cases, what they're basically doing is they're taking that roll of film and that ton of video, slapping it together putting it on the screen so you guys can see it, and that's pretty much all they're doing.
Yeah, and you may be wondering why the publisher allows it, why the manufacturer allows it, but when you think about it from a manufacturer point of view, it's just getting their car out to more eyeballs. So, they don't care. YouTube certainly doesn't care because it's creating more clicks,
right,
which creates more ad revenue. And I think the people who do these cut and paste videos understand those two concepts, and so for them, whenever a new car comes out, grab the B-roll.
Grab it, throw it out there.
Throw it out there, get it out there as soon as possible, and call it a review. And that's the part we get kind of...
We get a little frustrated because
about,
it's not a review, it's just showing the pictures, or maybe there's loud music over it showing the pictures. But in reality, a review is actually somebody going through there and giving you guys the information that you guys want on the vehicle. And sometimes those cut and paste ones don't have it. In fact, more often than not, they don't.
All right, number 8, Nathan, is actually a video that we'll be putting up this weekend on this very channel. And I'm calling these point and shoot, because basically it's a reviewer or not shooting and pointing at things. Very popular genre. Very popular.
So they grab their phone in many cases and they're going to sit there and they're going to shoot and they're going to tell you about what they're looking at. And we do it as well.
Yeah, we do it as well because they're easy to produce. You can go to your phone and then instead of actually having to take that video and then put it into a computer, which takes time, and then editing it, which takes time, and then re-uploading it to YouTube, which takes time, this just goes right from the phone, usually into YouTube to the channel. First of all, there's not a lot of cinematography, right? So the vehicles are kind of just sitting against the wall.
Or in a parking lot.
Or a parking lot at a dealership. There's not a lot of thought given to the kind of the tools that you have at your disposal when you're making a video. It's just about showing the vehicle as easily and as rudimentary as possible. Now, there are also kind of, like I said, different levels of this. The first one, which is very popular, I call them dealership walk-around videos, and this is a tricky one because sometimes they're done by reviewers, and sometimes they're done by who?
Dealerships.
Yeah, salesmen.
Right, who want to sell you the car. Yeah. And this is a gray area that Roman and I absolutely agree with. That isn't, I would say it's not journalism, not at all. Because what they're doing is they're going to spotlight the car. They're going to try to find everything about it that you guys want to hear about that makes the car sound good. They're not going to talk about the negative very often, if at all. So that is one form of point and shoot, but it's not the only form.
Yeah, there are people, and I'm sure, in the comments you could probably put down their names who do this very same thing and, do it more as a review.
Exactly.
And they don't have anything they're trying to sell you. But the thing to keep in mind is they're walk-around videos, they're very simple, and the way you can tell them is because there's not a lot of editing, there's not a lot of cinematography, and you could do a whole bunch of them. If you can work smarter and not harder, more power to you.
Oh, absolutely. And more importantly, guys, one thing that we do this as well. And that's the thing. In fact, everything we're naming on this list,
we do it.
done.
Yep. Okay, number 7 on our list, Nathan, is we call it straight up news reporting. We do a lot of that. And that's basically a video where there is some major news and then we bring it to you. It's like, watching the news at night.
Right.
And once again, relatively easy to produce, right? You need a set usually to make it seem more professional, but you don't have to have one. We've done them from hotel rooms.
Yeah, we have. And then from back seats of cars.
Yeah, just because, that was the breaking news. And those are especially popular around auto show season, which of course this year has not been around.
And may not come back to what it used to be.
But it's just straight up journalism. It's, either a new car has just been unveiled or a new partnership has been announced. You name it, it's straight up news.
If we see it's newsworthy and we need to get it out right away, we'll have one or two of us right here in front of the camera bring it right to you. That's news.
Now, Nathan, with your golden locks, I know this next category of videos is something that you love to produce. We call this number 6, Look at Me.
Which is also known as the selfie spotlight.
And that is basically, this is an interesting type of video. It's a video that's ostensibly about a vehicle, but it's really about the personality or the presenter.
Right. So if the person comes first and the car comes second, that's kind of one way to look at it.
If you're standing in front of the car.
So when you have your camera, which quite often is a phone, and you're, okay, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, boom, on me. It's about me, it's about me, oh, and I'm in a car. And it's about me, and it's about me, and I'm in a car. Now, we're not necessarily putting people down like that, because I do it all the time, because I am hot. And you guys like seeing hotness.
Let's face it, people like seeing it. If you're a beautiful blonde, that is a great way to
I was once.
Yes, you were. That is a great way to get out there.
And the thing is that the point of these videos usually is about the personality over the car. And in many cases, that goes all the way up the chain to the highest level of video, to the lowest level of video. Sometimes people could care less about the personality, and sometimes the personality really does sell the video. And you can tell based on their views whether or not that actually is happening.
Yeah, and the way you can tell a look at me video is the presenter is usually always in the spotlight. There's always the one on camera, whether there's a car there or a situation happening behind them where there's vehicles doing something. It's always about the person in the frame. Very rarely do you ever cut away from whoever's presenting the video.
Right. This is the money shot. That isn't. But what they'll do often, if they're really good, is they will show themselves a lot, but then they'll throw a percentage of that vehicle in there as well, going over a dune or whatever, some B-roll that we mentioned before, which is, a good production shot. And if they mix it up really well, and of course, if you guys like the person or the personality, then suddenly they got a good seller.
All right, number 5 on the list. This is probably my favorite category, and Nathan came up with a great name for this because we were in an editorial meeting coming up with names for these.
Yes.
This is a great name, Stupid Rich. Nathan, what is a Stupid Rich video? And this is one of my personal guilty pleasures, actually.
Yeah, it is. Because we do watch them as well, and we wish we could do these because we wish we were Stupid Rich.
You know what's coming,
You
right?
know what this is. Come on, guys.
Come on.
This is basically those guys who are able to go out there and buy themselves really expensive, super high-end exotic sports cars, and then they do a variety of different things. Some of them will actually go and do a proper straight-up video, but in many cases it's about them, so it's a little bit like a spotlight video. There's a variety of different things they'll do, but mostly what they're going to do is tell you, I'm really rich, and I bought not one, but 2 Sennas, and I also have a Lamborghini in the garage that I'm working on, of course.
I have a fleet of cars that are worth more than, one of them is worth more than most people's houses, but they have a whole fleet of these cars.
I got a whole fleet of them. I actually had to buy a 3rd house in order to hold all of them. And, I have a ranch. I took the horses out, put the cars in.
And you know what my favorite of that genre is? Like sometimes, because they're very popular, these videos and these people, they'll go like on, manufacturer will invite them on a car launch.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like let's say it's something cool like a GT500.
Right.
And before the car launch is over, they bought one.
They've actually had one, and they'll walk around and they'll tell you that too, especially to actual journalists. They'll walk up and go, by the way, here, look, see that? I bought one. What the? Really? You just spent $100,000 on it? Just, drop in the bucket.
100,000, come on.
Well, that's the least amount
yes,
that they've
least,
spent. But I've seen that happen at a variety of different events where there's one particular guy he's a nice guy, really, really, really rich, and sometimes if he's interested in the car, he'll just buy it. Like, yeah, I bought it. You bought it? You're not going to just test it?
And let's face it, it's a good genre because it creates a lot of interest because most of us want to own a Senna. We just can't ever, or Bugatti or, you name the crazy expensive hypercar.
At this point, a Miata.
And you feel like, you got a friend who actually bought it and you feel like you have a connection with that person. Yeah. And so you feel like, hey, I can kind of maybe, get into Bugatti because my friend did.
Right.
Even though really you'll never actually.
Yeah, we're not part of trust funds and we don't have those. The thing is that at the end of the day, these are highly desired videos because they're based on really exotic vehicles being purchased by really, really stupid rich people. There you go.
All right, we're moving down to number 4. This is also one of my favorite categories, and I call this one "I Just Bought," and it could be "I just bought the cheapest, the most expensive,
the worst,
the coolest." Right? It's a whole genre of videos. It also goes to unboxing where people buy either new cars or the cheapest cars in the country, and then they kind of go and do a walk around of the car and show you everything that's wrong with it or show you everything that's right with it.
Right.
And I think it taps into just that human emotion that we have at Christmas where we, want to see what's under the Christmas tree.
Right. Ooh, what do you have there? And here's the cool part about that. It covers everything. It goes all the way from the crap we buy sometimes. I mean, trust me, we bought some really cheap stuff. And it goes all the way up to, once again, high-end Ferraris and whatnot. And everything in between. Used cars, new cars, cars that have been damaged and been repaired.
And part of the genre used to be that they would, we did this too, that they would black out the cars so it was very clickbaity. You had to click to figure out what it was.
A little bit of clickbait,
And part of it, of course, is that, if you say I bought with the word ever, worst ever, most broken ever, you're just naturally curious to find out what's wrong with the vehicle. It's brilliant.
It is. And here's the cool part about
Very
that.
enjoyable, actually.
If you do it right, you can make a whole series about it. You can actually make an entire video channel about one car or one type of car. And there's a lot of people who do that.
All right, number 3, and this is probably one of the most popular genres on YouTube. I called it This Old Car, but Andre said nobody would get that reference, so we switched it to DIY fix videos. In other words, these are videos that focus on projects, restorations, how-tos. Right? How-tos in journalism, there's a thing called evergreen content, which is just a story that will always be popular. So I don't know about you, Nathan, but let's say you're trying to like replace a light bulb in your car. You go to YouTube and you Google how to replace a light bulb, in your case in my Suzuki Samurai. And you get like 4 videos.
Suspension.
3 are in German, one's in Arabic, and
but
finally
the thing,
one guy.
you're absolutely right. And that is one of the tools that YouTube provides, is the fact that you can do that. Almost anything, household-wise, car-wise, you name it, you can go in there and most likely somebody's done it for you. Now, here's the thing. And Roman just kind of brought it up. Sometimes they're in a different language. Sometimes the quality is really good. Sometimes the person is inebriated and is breathing on the phone and drops it. Everything in between that. But it's not just that. There's more to it than that. There's a much larger, higher aspirational section of DIY, which is the guys who do full productions with several cameras, a whole production crew, and they do a rebuild on a car, or they do a flip on a car, all these different things that are out there, and there's some really high-end stuff that's high quality out there.
Yeah, it's basically how-tos, or like I said, there are different genres under this, DIY fix.
Everything from engineering of the vehicle to...
it could be like an engineering explanation of how the vehicle works to a mechanical explanation of how it works.
Right.
It's a lot of different... People have cut that cheese in a lot of different segments, and they've all done very well at it.
Yeah, and some haven't, and those are usually the ones that when you see more negatives than positives on the thing, then you know that maybe you shouldn't click on it. The thing is that keep in mind that this is based on information that's going to you guys that will either help you or entertain you, and those are really the whole thing about DIY.
Yeah, and then I think, you put your finger out at number 2 on our category is something that's purely entertainment, and that's really storytellers, right?
Yeah.
So this is a video, once again, not a lot of production in this, because you can just get a camera and sit somebody who is just naturally good at telling stories, right? And they tend to be like experiential stories. So, I was working in a dealership when I remember this truck pulled up and it was full of chickens, and the guy came in and wanted to know if he could buy a new Corvette with a truck full of chickens.
That happens to you often, does it?
No, but that's the kind of right there, interesting stories. If it's
exactly.
Done, if it's done well, then you sit along and you listen to the story, and like I say, they're experiential, and it's just people telling interesting stories about cars and trucks.
Some people have better ability to say, what's going on in the story and hook you and bring you in, and other guys will bore the crap out of you. And sometimes they'll throw up pictures and images and some B-roll, and sometimes you're looking just at them and they're going to talk to you for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, I went with the kind of the more positive one because I don't want this to be negative, but there is a negative side to that. It's like somebody is sitting in their car in the parking lot, they just drove out of Starbucks, and they've got something, that they want to get off their chest.
Right.
And then you're just watching some dude or dudette, whine or moan about something that happened to him.
Why don't they do cigarette lighters anymore? They just call them DC outlets. They don't call them cigarette lighters. How dare they?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And the thing is that some of that is actually entertaining still, and some of that is crap.
Yeah, so we call those storytellers. And now we've worked our way down to number 1, Nathan. And this is one of my favorite genres because I love this genre. This takes a lot of production if it's done right, but we call them road trippers. What are road trippers?
Road trippers, think of it as an epic journey. Think of it as something that is showing you everything from going from point A to point B, all the adventure in between, taking vehicles on-road, off-road, basically having a full experience in one video.
Yeah, and if it's done right, it's very hard and expensive to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you need, a lot of time. You need to roll a lot of cameras.
Well, we're doing it right now, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about, we've done this several times, including Old Motor Mountain USA, which was a pain. But now we're doing it with our Overlanding Adventure series, which is known as
No Payment Needed. Yeah.
And that takes a whole crew. It takes a lot of writing, it takes a lot of logistics and blocking and money. You actually have to put all of these resources together just to make that video. Some of these road tripping videos are absolutely astonishing because some of them are low end in terms of very simple, maybe they're using a phone, but they're able to really capture the journey. And some of them are using a crew 10 times the size of ours. Nonetheless, they can be, not always, but they can be extremely involving and bring you in, and kind of like watching a television show that really gets you. It's a lot like that. The cool part is that it could be just one video, or it could be a whole series of videos.
Yeah, and it's funny because like if you look at compared to like CLICKHATE, right, where it's just a camera and a basement, right? You won't find a lot of sponsors for those videos because you don't need a lot of sponsors. Whereas with our series, No Payment Needed, we've got sponsors because honestly we had to help pay for that, right? There's a large crew of people putting that together, and some, YouTube, if you're lucky, on average, I think we make maybe $100 a video, if that much, maybe even less, like $50 a video. I think if this video makes $50, it's going to be, a lot of money for us. So how do you go and buy 3 trucks and get a crew of people and drive it, to a mountain pass and put them up for the night, feed them, drive it over the mountain pass, shoot with like 10 different cameras, have a group of people edit that on $50. You just can't do it.
Right, and still pay the bills.
And still pay, you can't do it. Yeah.
So in order to do larger productions, a lot of these companies have deep pockets behind them, or they have sponsors. In our case, we have sponsors. We were independent otherwise, and that's how we're able to make these videos. And we've done it in the past, and we're doing it now. But the point is that with Road Trippers, one of the things that we find is that a lot of those videos, if they're done right, are just fantastic to watch.
Yeah, and that brings us to our bonus, because we always like to have a bonus.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what we like to call, well, you call it actually, epic videos or adventure productions, shorthand, Top Gear style videos. Now, these are even more expensive.
Now, we did name a video company this time. We did make a production company, Top Gear.
Yeah, because they set the standard, right?
They really did.
Right, and these are videos that, ironically, on YouTube, once again, they may be less popular when they're on YouTube than any of these other categories, but they definitely take the most amount of production. So the biggest teams, the best editors, the best videographers, right? You've got these just spectacular videos where you're in incredible parts of the world, and you've got vehicles that are incredible. They could be supercars, and you bring them together. I remember when Top Gear did one, and they did like the ultimate road trip, and they had, I don't know how many, like 10 different supercars and classic cars through the south of France, right? This takes months of planning and weeks of shooting, and
massive crew and just and massive investment too.
And ironically, that doesn't mean it's going to get the most views on YouTube. In fact, oftentimes these kinds of videos don't feel authentic or real. They feel almost like they're commercials.
In some cases, they can come off like that.
Yeah, and so sometimes, these other genres of videos will do much better in terms of actually getting views, right? And views translate to dollars. And so that's why, once again, like I said, sometimes it's about working smarter, not harder. And that's why we've tried all these different kinds of videos.
Yeah, we pretty much covered the entire gambit. But what we wanted to do, once again, bringing you this list, is to kind of give you reference to the different types of videos that are out there. And indeed, everything from CLICKHATE to I Just Bought Stupid Rich, all of those, they really do focus on one area, but the thing is that we may have missed a few.
Yeah, we'd love to get your comments and let us know, and come up with some clever names for them. We think if you have a language to describe these kinds of videos, then you'll be a smarter consumer of videos, right? You'll know what you're watching, and you can put them in a genre. So you can say, hey, that was a really cool, look at me, or I love that stupid rich.
Yeah.
Versus, just thinking that all videos are the same, which they're not.
Indeed, guys. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. We really enjoyed putting this list together. It's a lot of fun looking back because we've been doing this for over a decade.
Yep, and we're really grateful that you guys support us and watch us. Thanks for watching. Remember, check out tflcar.com for more news, views,
and real-world reviews.
And if you like Nathan's shirt, support the team. Get yourself one.
Pretty good stuff, right?
Clicking on the link below. All right, see you guys next time. Ciao.
Bye.